Rey's parents reveal is stupid.
Hey, we're not getting into that. Stay focused. But actually, since we're here, I think the reveal that her parents are nobodies is pretty brilliant.
That's because you might not know how to write. And how do I know this? Because the reveal that Rey's parents are nobodies is neither brilliant nor stupid. It's like your own personal bias is in the way, and you're making a value judgment over it. It's really not what is revealed that matters unless it contradicts a setup. It's how it's revealed that matters. Kylo telling her this makes really no difference, because Kylo is really all about nihilism in this story. Let the past die, kill it if you have to, life is pointless, yabba dabba doo. To him, and it's his reveal that he gave to Rey, well, he just wants her to join him. His message could have been the same if their parents were actual somebodies. Like, hey, Rey, you descended from a union between a Jedi Master and a Sith Lord. Their orders chased them down and killed them, and erased all records of their existence over the shame of both groups had over this. You have nobody, search your feelings, you know this to be true, join me anyway, because you should let the past die and kill it if you have to. Whoop-de-doo. The same message, at least in my version. We know where her powers came from, and yet it's still rather mysterious. And if J.J. Binks wants to develop that later on, he can. Compare that to Rian Johnson, who didn't give a flying crap what he was given, because he just did whatever he wanted to do anyway.
On screen, the characters are constantly saying that she can't stop herself from needing her parents, but for our purposes, this is her want, because wants are things you have trouble resisting.
Okay, what are you talking about? A want or desire to Truby gives the audience something to want along with the hero, something they can all be moving toward through the various twists and turns, or even digressions, of the story. Desire is on the surface and is what the audience thinks the story is about. The hero's true desire is what he wants in the story, not what he wants in life. Rey wants to bring Jake back to save the rebels out of self-discovery. That's her plot. Now, I could be wrong about that because Rey seems pretty darn self-sufficient and invincible, and she got over waiting for her parents on Jakku in the last movie, so I didn't really see any real flaws with her. And also, according to Truby, needs are based on character flaws. If you don't have any character flaws, there's no need for needs.
What she needs is to become emotionally independent and to carve out her own identity.
Okay, where are you getting this? She needs to know where she came from, at least from the Truby definition of need, and she wants to know why the Force is working through her. She's been living as a hermit her entire life on a desert planet. I think she's pretty well adjusted emotionally and mentally if she could live and survive by herself. Or do you need a few more scenes of her from The Force Awakens where we see her living by herself and beating the crap out of anything that comes her way with her stick? So if she needs to be emotionally independent, who is she currently dependent on emotionally? The parents she never knew? Kylo? Han? Leia? BB-8? Jake? Who?
But Finn seems to be the character whose arc is least appreciated.
For one, Finn is worthless to the story. That is, if you take him out, and not only will the story progress as normal, a lot of people would still be alive. And for two, he doesn't even get an arc. And I don't blame Rose as a result of that. If he rammed into the battering ram cannon, it probably wouldn't have proved his hardening or choice to be a rebel hero because he was already a hero.
Han saves Luke, Finn tries to save Rey.
Han seems he's just having a good time and ends up having a thing for Leia. Is that selflessness or selfishness? Finn has nobody and sees a friend in Rey and Poe. I mean, he obviously has feelings for both. He's just been running away from the First Order as best he could.
But Rian Johnson's insight into the character...
Oh yeah, that good old Rian Johnson insight.
...step. And that he could tell a whole story about Finn's radicalization into the ideological battle of the Resistance. At the end of The Force Awakens, Finn acted to save a friend. So at the beginning of this movie, that is now his want, to save Rey. His need is to become concerned not just with the safety of his friends, but of the galaxy as a whole. He needs to become a rebel.
No, that's not the point. I agree with you that he wants to save Rey, but as soon as Rose electrocutes him, he's on board. He's a rebel. He's always been there. He's going to do whatever Poe and him agree with, if he wasn't a rebel already. He simply put Rey's life ahead of the rebellion because he cares about her more. That much is obvious. Finn was a good character in The Force Awakens because he represented Rey's need to belong to something. Remember, side characters are only good in that they are offshoots of an aspect of the protagonist or the antagonist. But now, Both belong to the rebels, but Finn cares more about Rey than the group he's in. That's it.
At the beginning of
We hate Rose.
I know, I know you do, but she's an integral part of the story because of...
Oh my goodness. Take out Finn, Rose, and Poe after the intro, and those three characters have zero impact on the story. They are not plot relevant or plot integral. The plot will go along just fine without them. Holdo won't tell the plan to anyone because Poe isn't there, and she doesn't tell anyone anyway, so who cares? And Finn and Rose don't go on their stupid excursion which gets nearly everyone killed. The events of the movie will occur just fine. Although there's now more rebels in their planetary base, Leia would wake up and assume command as before, and whether the Raddus gets destroyed or rams the First Order is immaterial to this plot.
Part 2, conflict. The next two questions are, how do the characters' wants and needs conflict with the outside world? How do they conflict with other characters?
First off, those are the same thing. Wants and needs can only conflict with other characters in the outside world. There's no such thing as internal conflict, at least in a movie, unless you have some weird dream or mindscape telepathy scene thing, which is ultimately pointless unless this is an established form of interaction in the story, like, I don't know, Professor X is essentially seen physically fighting a telepathic dream alien in his head or something.
The outside world one is pretty easy, right? They all conflict with the First Order, and Finn conflicts with the upper classes of Canto Bight.
If by Finn has conflict with the upper class of Canto Bight, you mean he gets a parking ticket, and then trashes their casino, all their conflict is resolved by DJ and BB-8.
But as to the second question, each of the main characters is opposed by two others. One who represents or enables their wants, and one which forces them to realize what they need. The protagonist is sort of caught in a tug-of-war between these two opponents.
I'm not sure where you're getting this, but Truby's technique is called four-corner opposition, where the protagonist and antagonist are the main corners, and the other two use different ways of attacking the protagonist's weakness. But I'm not going to get into Truby because this example of yours isn't that. A tug of war happens between two different philosophies or ideologies. Holdo and Leia are essentially the same, those who are in charge. There's no left or right here. Following orders is the only major philosophy, I think. And in this diagram, where's the character's ideology? Wouldn't it be a tug of war between three characters? With DJ, there is no conflict. He shares his ideology, and that's that. Finn and Rose are already on board and helping each other out. This happens right when she electrocutes him at the start of the story. There, conflict resolved. With Rey, she fails at getting Jake to come with her, kicks his ass, and she has weird conversations with Kylo.
Poe is in conflict with Leia because of his recklessness, but she doesn't force him to change his ways. She scolds him, but enables him as well.
Well, Poe is not really in conflict with Leia, nor is Leia attacking his weakness. She's telling Poe to not charge ahead into battle, but she doesn't do anything about it. She's in a coma half the time. Hell, she just wakes up from her coma and shoots Poe out of nowhere. What the hell was that about? Poe didn't learn anything from that. He just got shot. Poe certainly wasn't going to attack Leia, so why is Leia so trigger-happy?
On the other hand, Holdo freezes him out of a leadership position entirely, and shows zero tolerance for his attitude.
Holdo is his commanding officer. That's not conflict. She's just his commanding officer. It doesn't matter if she does or doesn't trust Poe. She isn't doing her job. She isn't giving him or anyone else orders as far as we know. She's not reassuring anyone that there's a plan or a strategy or some sense of security while their ship is under constant bombardment. There's no reason for the audience to believe that she is a capable leader when she doesn't show that she's a capable leader.
While DJ argues that there is no objective morality and that Finn would be wise to be more selfish.
Finn really isn't in any conflict with DJ or Rose. DJ tells him to get out of the machine and be free, and then he betrays him. How is that challenging Finn's desire to be part of a group or save the rebels? There was no conflict there. Rose zaps Finn into becoming a rebel, so that's pretty much done with, and then she saves him magically and stupidly. That's good conflict? Are you kidding? Like, what's Finn's weakness here? Which I guess is his feelings to protect Rey? And how is Rose and DJ attacking it? What?
The detour through Canto Bight, which, hey, I know it admittedly has some pacing issues, is perfect on a thematic level. It's the splash of water in the face that wakes Finn up to what he needs to do.
What thematic level are you on, sir? I would like to come to planet thematic level so I can understand what movie you watched. Okay, how is Canto Bight the splash of water in the face that tells Finn what to do? What does Finn need to do? Because Rose and Finn had a big plan, a really intricate plan, a big contrived, confusing one that could have gone wrong at any number of turns for dozens of reasons. What was the lesson that Finn learned at Canto Bight? I honestly don't know.
It was worth it, though. To tear up that town, make them hurt.
Go.
And finally, there is Rey, who, though she is briefly in conflict with Snoke, and I am not going down that rabbit hole...
Well, guess what I did? And that rabbit hole is about 1 inch long and 1 centimeter wide and tall. There's no conflict. He doesn't challenge her at anything. He's just about to get her killed. She's completely powerless to him. He throws her around like a puppet. She gets mind-shocked or something. She can't even physically struggle against him. As for Rey, she seems to be developing feelings with Kylo until Jake breaks their Psychic Alliance chats, and then Kylo goes out of his way to help fight with her when he kills Snoke. They certainly wanted that lightsaber back, that's true. There's some clear conflict there. And Jake is just reluctant about everything, to the point of kinda sorta training her and telling her the Jedi is a joke. I mean, she just beats his ass, a master lightsaber and Force user, and then just leaves him. And at the end, she triple shots some TIE fighters, and then she magically starts moving rocks after one training session whose result ended up shattering the ground she was on, having learned no direct lesson from Jake or having any formal training of any relevant time, all because she's a Mary Sue, and the pacing of a space car chase in this movie is ridiculous.